So, on today's episode of the Defence series, I'm actually joined by Chris Shaw. So, this is one I've been really excited for with an upcoming event, which I'm sure we will get on to speaking about, and also a relationship over the last couple of years. It's great to have you on and speak about it. For those that don't know you, Chris, give us a brief dip. Give us a quick tour.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. I think we've kind of fostered this relationship for 3 years now. So I've been out the Marines 3 years, met you probably just as I left, and 3 years down the line, you're hosting me in a podcast and you're coming to my event. So that's one of the topics we'll be bringing up today. So my name's Chris Shaw. I was a former Royal Marine. I spent 14 years in the Marines, left as a corporal in 2022. I left to be a dad. Present husband, that was my main driver for leaving, but I also felt that I had more to give this world than what I was achieving in the military. So I lived positively. I've had a really good story since leaving, and I've tried to use my story to help others. When I did leave, I had a bit of a bumpy start, went into a job that I probably was not right for, lasted 6 weeks and left. I then went into defence project management and soon realised that project management is great. I've got loads of attributes that fit in well with it, but there was just something missing, so I did a lot of soul searching. Someone suggested I look at sales, managed to get myself into the strategic growth team in Jacobs in the sales team. Something else was missing, again, had a little bit of soul searching, used a tool to identify where my strengths lay, and I am now a business development manager in a defence tech company, and I think business development is definitely my future career forwards.
Obviously, interesting you mentioned that from that project management role coming out of the military, kind of naturally going into that sales route. And that's something we quite often see with individuals that are coming out of the military, project management and business development. How did you find your way there? You obviously kind of mentioned a bit of soul searching that perhaps led to it, a bit of a skills assessment. How did you find your way into the both of them?
So I think this goes back to when I was in the Marines, and I'm quite a competent, diligent person. I wanted to be successful, and I was sitting there when I put my notice in going, what on earth do I do? I knew I didn't want to be in the Marines anymore. I wanted to be at home, but I didn't have any degree, I didn't have any technical background, so I started analysing myself and saying, what am I strong at and where does that translate into industry? When I looked at all my skills, I was like, that shouts project management from what I know of my project management, of what I've researched and spoken to people. And military personnel are good at project management and they do transfer well into it. I knew I was using it as a safe kind of landing zone because I know I could be good at it, but project management itself is such a broad spectrum because you've got financial project management, IT project management, construction project management, infrastructure, defence. There's so many that you could fit into. So I thought, right, I've got all the skills, I'll use my LCAS to get as many project management qualifications as I can because I've got no technical background, and surely that'll get me a job. I'm going to be honest, it was quite difficult, and there was a company, Jacobs, that were doing a kind of military programme. Got myself into it from a veteran referral actually, and then got into defence project management because obviously I thought, I don't know anything about construction, I'm not going to go down that route, I'm not an engineer, so I'll go into a generalist defence PM role, and I was good at it, I can do it, but there was just something that was missing for me within project management.
Interesting, and then obviously that naturally led into that. The world of business development there, utilising that skill set.
So, the business development took another step. So at the event in Bristol next month, you'll see my thought process of my career trajectory. I used to go on about squiggly career, and I used to talk to Jake about this, and we used to say about squiggly career. But over the last couple of months, I was like, I'm not a squiggly person. I've got a plan and I know what I'm doing, and I'm doing a step process. I am not following a squiggly career because a squiggly career to me says people are trying things out but with no direction. Whereas mine is a stepped process of, I know that I'm good at this, I'll go to here. I will find out what I like and I find out what I don't like, and I will move towards the stuff that I do like and step away from the things I don't like. When I was in defence project management, and this is a broad statement, hopefully no one lynches me for it, but defence project management is full of bureaucracy, red tape, takes ages, and it is defined by XYZ. And somebody said, Chris, see, with all your skills and attributes, you get stuff done. And they said, have you ever looked at sales? And I hadn't. Spoke to a couple of the sales team, and one of the things that stood out was, Chris, if you can dream it, make it happen. And that one phrase made me think, I need to go into sales because I've all these great ideas and they've always been suppressed. Chris, we don't like change. Chris, we don't want to do that. We've not got time, we've not got budget. Whereas sales, if you can dream it and you can put the proposal together, you can normally make it happen, especially with how tenacious I am. I get stuff done. So that's when I started looking at sales. But I ended up in bid management, and bid management is managing a process with the team. What I found out there is, we'll talk about this in the event more as well, bid management is very, very high attention to detail. I found myself in a very uncomfortable position that I thought I was high attention to detail. When you meet somebody with high attention to detail, you understand that you are not a high attention to detail person. So I then started going, hang on a second, I am not a bid manager. I started then looking at people who were bringing the business in, and I started speaking to my mentor who was outside sales, business development, bringing in new contracts, bringing in new customers and joining everything together. Started speaking to him about his job, and I said, what's your job? And he was like, I would say I'm business development. And he had the very same characteristics of kind of red, green, yellow, blue as me. And I thought, I need to start looking at BD more. And then I started going, relationship building, dot joining, value and growth. I was like, that's everything that I care about and want to be in. Then I seen the role advertised for mass, and I was like, no way I'll get that. I've not got the experience. I don't know anything about electronic warfare. But I was hired over some very strong candidates because of my personal attributes that shone through. So that was how I went from defence project management to sales, proposal manager, and then into business development.
I think it's really interesting, obviously, hear that journey. I think there's quite a lot to unpack within there. Certainly in terms of that, like skills matrix, skills matching. That I think can often be overlooked by an individual. It's like, what's on paper? You've got that kind of meritocratic, entrepreneurial like person that you probably do this so well. I can make, I do this, and I can make what of it what I want. And then you kind of got that project management side. You say it's slightly more structured. I know where I sit, and let's say it's definitely not project management. And when you talk about when you meet someone that's got as high attention to detail, it's not me. It's interesting to hear you say that. And we were just speaking about that kind of skills matching. This could be a whole different conversation, but also you mentioned Ben there, the guys over at Redeployable, and I think it's certainly interesting to hear you backing that up in terms of what you've looked at from yourself, in terms of how they're approaching things as well. So that's a whole another conversation. But
one that I'm more than happy to help with.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you use a framework? Were you speak a lot, obviously, about kind of like what you've looked at. Was there a framework that you were using to kind of help analyze what you had as a skill set? And I know that can be difficult. If you ask me to go write 5 things that you are good at, write 5 things that you need improvement on, I'd make a list of 10 things I need improvement on. And I've really struggled with it.
I've went more of a kind of holistic approach. I wouldn't use a framework as such, because I think when you come out of the military, you truly don't know yourself until you've done a couple of years down the line. Because when you're in the military, it's quite regimented. You're told this, you're told that. I don't really think you are an individual as such. when you come out, you then start going, wow, I need to do this by myself. And that's why I'm trying to use my journey of, I went into project management, I liked some of it, didn't like some of it, and I moved across, but each step I've learned something about me and my skill set, my attributes, and how I can add value. Like when we talked about tenacity earlier on, tenacity can be really good in one job, but can be maybe disruptive in another. And I needed to figure out what was my strongest attributes and where does that tie into industry. And if I was to go down a kind of framework of what's my top five attributes when I left the Marines in the first 6 months, probably different to what they are now. I think that empathy and people skills weren't really high on my first 6 months framework, but empathy, understanding people, is probably up there in my highest attributes just now, because I need to speak to clients and customers, and I need to relate to them, and I need to be able to read a room, and I don't think I had those skill sets 3 years ago. So I think your skill sets change over the years, and that's why maybe your career aspirations will change as well. I don't know many people who leave the military, go into an industry and do 20, 30 years.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you have your core that will always be you, but those skills that sit on top, they're fundamentally they are exchangeable, aren't they? They're things you learn. They're also just things that kind of you learn and adapt to. And I mean, that's obviously great advice to people coming out of the military. I mean, we'll go on to that, shortly. A bit more into there. It's featured within it. And for those that don't know, obviously founder of the Gen Dit Network, the sign is behind you. You did demo with it on. Yeah.
I was gonna wear like my badges and my hoodie and everything, but I'll just go with a subtle big white sign behind me.
Yeah, well, it's for those that don't know, what the Gen Dit Network is. I've had the pleasure of going to your first event. We have the upcoming event, which is going to be the biggest yet. But
I hope.
Tell us about it.
So I think what I'll do is first start with the name, because some people watching this will be like, agenda who? So the Gen Dit Network, the name came for a reason, but the name itself means the True Story Network. So if I was to say genuinely, this is a Rolex watch, I wish. It's a real Rolex watch. And a dit is a military word for a story. So I'd say, Harry, tell me a dit about your weekend. You tell me a story about your weekend. So it's kind of like the true story. Because when I was in resettlement, I seen X company and Y company saying we're the best and we do this and we have the biggest veterans network and we have the biggest veterans network. And I was like, well, what's true? Which ones? Because I spoke to ex-employees of Y, and out of the 10 of them were like, rubbish place to work, don't touch it. But they're saying we're the best to work. So I was like, how am I supposed to know who's good and what's bad? And then I built my own network on LinkedIn because I used it really effectively. I could see how effective the resource and the tool was, a free tool. And I was like, I'm going to utilize this. And when I built my network, I seen, wow, look at this amazing person offering out free CV advice. And look at this person who's offering webinars. And this person who wants to hire a veteran. And then right in the middle was all these people that were saying, there's nothing for veterans and there's nothing for service leavers. More needs to be done. CTP isn't fit for duty. And I was like, there's all these people. But what I realised was visibility. Some people weren't seeing certain messages because they weren't connected with them, or it was like gone. So what I thought was, do you know what? I'm going to make a room and invite all these amazing people, organisations, invite them all in. And then I'm going to invite all the service people and link them up together, and then everyone will have the same platform for visibility. So that's what it was. It was for visibility. So I set that up with Chris Kirk in March 2022, just as we both left. And then it literally grew like wildfire. Within the first 3 weeks, we had 1,000 people join. 3 years later, we've got 16,500 people in it. Last year alone, it helped 100 people get jobs. It prevented 2 suicides from getting assistance to the people when they needed it. So it's more than recruitment. Everyone thinks it's just a jobs board, but it's more of a holistic connecting the community after service. And it's not just for service people, service leavers and veterans. There's people like yourself, civilians who want to help the community, they're in it. The group came runner-up in Veterans Group of the Year. I've been nominated for 6 Veterans Awards. It's just doing some really good things to help people, and that is one of my passions in life. Is I don't think it's hard to help people, and if you help people repeatedly, it builds up trust. People think you're a genuine person, so they're willing to help you. And this is the 6th event that I'm running, 3rd at Ashton Gate in Bristol. Last year we had 500 plus people there. I try run these events very unique because I'm not a profit driven person. The Gen Dit is a business purely for the fact of I wanted to set up a business that could function properly to show that a corporal leaving the Marines 3 years ago who's got a family, a professional job, runs a support group, but also started a business. If I can do all that, everyone else can as well within capacity, and if you've got the drive and want to do it. So I thought I'm going to set up a business, but I don't run these events for profit. So if I had a chief financial officer, they'd be pulling their hair out, because the amount that I spend on food for people, because if you're a hungry guest, you're a rubbish guest, so I don't want people to be hungry. I put free headshot photography on for people. I don't get any benefit from that, but I pay someone to do that because a service leaver can get a new headshot photography picture for their LinkedIn profile. I put on entry visits, raffles, and we've got seminars this year, really good theme, which will be interesting. And then I think we have 48 exhibitors from big corporates, recruitment companies like yourselves, veteran-owned businesses and charities all coming as well. And that is Saturday the 29th of March at Ashton Gate Stadium.
Amazing. And in terms of sign up, I'll put a link when we send it out as well to make sure that's in there. I think what's part of what you mentioned there, and certainly when I initially came to the event, I approached, I'm in recruitment, I was still out helping a lot of veterans to come into new roles, people either just resettling out of the military. I mean, one of the first things that caught me when I was there is this isn't a way of finding people jobs. Yes, that's a sub part of it. I think what you described there was, well, everyone come into the room. Could it be that that's a networking to find an opportunity? I was struck by how many veteran-run businesses that I've now tried a veteran rum, I think, a veteran gin, coffee, which we've now reordered in the office as well. Right through to, as you say, the mental health bits that have been in there, just general networking. I'm obviously, we're in recruitment, that's who we are as our associates. But actually going into that room, it was really great to see that it was an offer for everyone.
That's what I try to do. One of my biggest things, apart from helping people, is value. I need people to get value from this event at any scale, whether you're a recruitment company, mental health organisation, a service leaver, a veteran. There was 300 veterans that came last year that wanted to help other service people and leavers. That was, you don't get that at any other military networking recruitment event, because it's all geared around recruitment. As you said, the recruitment piece is a sub part of it. My piece is connecting the community. 300 veterans coming in from industry, from IT, finance, construction, defence, everything, aerospace. Having those people who have been trodden what they're going to go through and actually successful now, that's an invaluable piece that I can't even put a cost on to service leavers. And that's what I try to facilitate.
Absolutely. And whether it's created by the networking at the event, or also, as you say, to be able to look and see that is a journey that can be gone on, holds equally as much power as here coming and landing a job. I'm going to put you slightly on the spot here, and I'm sure there are many success stories. So I'll ask a very specific one. Is there any particular business, veteran-owned business, perhaps if we're looking at that entrepreneurial side that you've seen since the group has been set up, since that network has been built, that you're like, wow, like that has just climbed onto a rocket ship?
There is so many, but one person and company who stands out is Mike Dawson. So Mike has a consultancy company and he works tirelessly. I've watched him grow and grow and grow. Obviously, I've seen his ups and his downs as well, so it's not all just glitz and glamour, people absolutely smashing it out of the park. There is rough times. He actually came and done a presentation at last year's event of the realisms of entrepreneurship and setting up your own company. So he gave the warts and all of his best tips, and the reason that I chose him is because he has been so successful. Last year's event was called the Veterans Growth Event because I, in my 2 years back then, have witnessed people leaving the service, going into industry, realising that they can do a really good job, realising that they can do an even better job, and then going, do you know what, I am so good that I'm going to go and do this better than where I am just now. Then they set up their own company, then they're under their own esteem, and that military ethos of just getting stuff done then just shoots them off. And he was kind of the epitome of what I saw of the kind of veterans growth. And we also set up the Veterans Growth Initiative. So I wanted entrepreneurs and people who have left the service and done really well to help a business or a few businesses. So we set up the initiative where Mike put in money to help a startup. I had a website designer design them a website. Someone gave them LinkedIn coaching. The Institute of Leadership gave them free membership and a business mentor. And one lucky person who I actually served with won it, and their business is now flourishing. So a big thanks to everyone last year who was involved in that.
Wow, I actually didn't know about that. That is, it's quite a story. And again, that kind of sub part of the group of the collective. It doesn't take there's a village to raise.
And I am no entrepreneur wizard, and I'm cuffing things every single day. But what I am very good at is bringing people together. And I have an idea, and then I'm like, I need your help, I need your help, and I need your help. Would you like to be involved? They normally say yes, because I'm a nice person. And then I bosh it all together, and then something good normally happens at the end of it.
And here we are now.
And that is very, very similar to business development.
Yeah, absolutely. And very similar streams as the meritocracy. Put in what you want to say. Put it in there. The event's promising to be a big one. And I bet the last couple of weeks, being a busy one, coming up for it.
Doesn't keep me up at night at all.
No, I imagine not.
Definitely do have a reoccurring dream where me and one person are in the room. Nobody turns up after 6 months of hard work.
I can guarantee I'll be there. So
well, you'll be bringing a team there, won't you? So.
Yeah. Well, there we go. We're up to 5. If that helps quell any. Any particular highlights? I know there will obviously be loads that is going on the day. But anything in particular for those that aren't already signed up?
So this year's theme, last year was the Veterans Growth Event. This year's theme is called Know Yourself to Navigate Your Future. So exactly what we've talked about is the theme for the event of how do I know what I want to do after service, what industry to go into, and where do you start? Oh, I'm just going to do project management because everyone else is doing it. If I had kind of analysed myself and know what I know now back then, it would have been a lot easier. So what I'm trying to do, I'm using insights. Personal Insights, you are giving away a free Explore insight. So they'll do a quick survey for you and give you a report of here's your kind of personality. So I'm high red yellow, which means I'm task orientated, but I've got really thoughtful ideas. What I want to do is link service leavers with this facility to go, you are really, really data driven, you are blue. So you would think that you would be successful in finance or data analyst or something like that. And if you're looking at like personal training or a firefighter or something, is that where your strengths lie? That was a bad example. But if I was to take my story, I nearly started Barclays because they did a military program. And I was only going down that military program because I didn't know what else to do. And I was like, well, they've got a big office in Glasgow, and it seems like a really good program. And finance is obviously, there's loads of different things in it, but it's quite data driven. And as we've spoken about, I'm not attention to detail as much as I thought. My blue, which is kind of like data stuff, is not very high. And I was 2 days away from joining Barclays. So I could have spent 2 years in Barclays and went, I bloody hate this. This is not the right role for me. But if you know your kind of preference, your personality preferences, you can go, well, I'm red, yellow, high, so I'm more suited to this kind of industry or these types of roles. I'm not saying you have to do that, but it's a gentle guidance. So that's the thing that I'm most excited about this event. There's so much going on throughout the day. I've got 5 career coaches. I've got one of the UK's best military CV experts who will be there on the day. I've got a veteran-owned pizza company on top of the free lunch. And then there's entry gifts, there's the raffle at the end, and there's some bad boy prizes in this raffle. I put that at the end of the day to make sure everyone stays. There's free headshot photography, so if someone needs a LinkedIn profile. There's 2 talks, one from Insight and one from a main sponsor about leaving the military. 48 stands, loads of snacks during the day, but the best thing for me is the theme and what I'm going to talk about with that.
Amazing. And having witnessed one of, I know it's definitely not the reason to come, there are so many more reasons, but having witnessed one of the raffles live previously, and I'm sure the prizes are kept secret, so I will not.
So I normally announce the raffle prizes the week on the lead up, and then I get an influx of people signing up to them because they're like, God, I'm going just for the raffle.
And I can attest that the prizes from the first London event were class.
You're really good.
There were a lot of good prizes in there.
Someone was walking down the subway with a big basket, a hamper, and an Afghan rug under one arm.
I got to witness them leaving with I slung them.
But on top of that, last year, I sometimes question myself of why do I keep doing this? Because I get nothing from the Gen Dit. I don't really get anything from the event, apart from a sense of accomplishment to say I have done this. I solo plan it, solo organise it, and solo deliver it to show my capability. And I do this on my lunch breaks and around a family and a professional job. And sometimes I wonder why do I do this? Because it does bring unnecessary stresses, but there is always a reason and a glimmer. And at last year's event, there was 2 Marines came up to me and they were like, Chris, we were shitting ourselves coming into this. Like, we were so nervous, we didn't know what to expect, but we're walking away from here confident, excited, enthusiastic about our future. And see, that for me, I think that's like a core memory for me now of like, I made those 2 people feel like that, and that was just 2 people that came up to me. And my sense of doing something for others kind of overrides the stress, and like I don't take any financial benefit from it because I literally just roll the money, the profit, into the next event, etc. So I think the assistance, help, and value that you get from the day is like nothing else.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing to see it grow. Obviously, next event, watch this space, sign up in the link. I'll include a link for people to click through to. If not part of the group as well, they can
Yep.
find it on LinkedIn.
Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah,
When this gets posted, I'll post both the group link and the event registration link in the comments.
amazing. Look, get involved, get within there. Final question, and having known you now for a couple of years, I'm sure you won't mince your words with
Never.
answers to this, but it'll be kind of a bit of raw truth to it. So obviously part of the group is very much how do we help people look for their next career, their next future beyond the military. Top tips, top tips from Chris Shaw
Yeah.
that you would give to a service leader that is about to leave, thinking about leaving, has just
Yeah.
left.
Yeah.
What are they?
So over the last 3 years, I've genuinely been asked this so many times, and I've created my own list. It was like an A4 binder worth of like Gen top tips. But obviously, as time went by, I've kind of stepped away from like kind of frontline helping people with the kind of basics. But there's three that really stand out to me personally, and this is a thing. I see lots of tips going out, but the tips won't always fit the person. These are three generalist tips that I think can go across the board from my observations and personal experience. So first one is starting as early as possible. There's so many people that I speak to at defence events, etc., and I'm like, oh, are you enjoying it? And they're like, nope, I'm just going to see out my 22. Where are you at? I'm at like 19 years, I've got 3 years to go. And I'm like, oh, are you on LinkedIn? I've got this support group. And they're like, nah, not that bothered. And I'm like, I, in 3 years, have built my network. I left the Royal Marines with 270 connections. I can remember it because I checked it as I went out the gate. I have now got 16,500 followers on LinkedIn, and I've helped myself by almost building my own support network and recruitment company. Because if I got in some trouble and I needed a job, I'd put a post out and I'd have 16,000 people ready and waiting to help me with my messaging. If you're to leave the military and you've got 27 connections and you put your open to work banner up, you've got a very small network which is willing to help and amplify your message. So LinkedIn is an amazing free resource which I think is underutilised whilst in service. Through the Gen Dit, I've seen people get £10,000 IT courses for free because somebody was given out a place. So if you're not on LinkedIn and you don't see these resources and these opportunities, you're not in it to win it. So my tip is start preparing as early as possible, because if you identify that you want to be in banking and then you research it, 2 years down the line you're like, I don't want to be in banking, and you've kind of pivoted. Whereas if you just start preparing when you put your notice in with 12 months, that 12 months comes round quick, and you see people going, I've got 3 weeks till I'm outside and I don't have a job, and I'm like, right, you could have started earlier. So that's the first one. Start as early as possible. You wouldn't pack a Bergen to go on an operation the day before. That's a wee analogy. Put the required effort in. I have seen varying successes when people leave the military. There are some people who will go to town, they will do loads of effort, loads of work. You can see them and they're visible, and you're doing a great job. There'll be people who put an okay amount in, and then there will be people who will put the bare minimum requirement in and expect the same results because they expect the results to come to them. Whatever effort output that you put in, you will gain in return from your CV, from relationships with recruiters, from spending time networking, from travelling 2 hours to an event that may change your life, but 2 hours is too far. Just little things like that. You will be successful if you want to be successful. If you want to half-arse it, then you're going to run the risk of not being happy, not getting paid as much, not being in a job that you want to be. So put the required effort in. And last one, this is a personal one for me. Don't focus so much on qualifications, LCAST courses, all that kind of jazz. I left as a corporal, not an officer, not a senior. I didn't have a degree, I still don't. The 4 LCAST qualifications that I did get, I used 5% of them. I can't remember anything from them now, and I don't even use the qualifications that I'd done. I just used them because I had the money there to use them. What I did do was I looked at my personal strengths, identified, as we talked about, those kind of top ones, and I translated that into, right, my confidence, my tenacity, this sounds stupid, but being a nice person is an underutilized skill. See, if you're a nice person, people like you. If people like you, they will help you. So that's I'm super passionate. When I talk about things, people can see the passion in me, and I utilize that in sales. If you're a project manager and you've got loads of passion, people are just like, oh, Chris, come on, stop. Whereas if you're passionate in sales, people believe in it and they want to be involved. So the little things like passion and the tenacity is getting stuff done. I highlighted my top skills, and I thought, right, where does that translate, and how, if it's sales, how do I get into sales? Once I get into sales, is this the right place for me? Or in sales, where else can I move? What's that person doing over there? I like what he's doing. What is that job? Business development. Cool, how do I get into business development? And then that continues.
Obviously all great tips, I guess summarised as put yourself out there at the beginning bit, put the effort in to make sure you do so, and aim yourself in the right direction.
Yeah.
Really. And I think that's true of people coming out and veterans, but also probably sound career advice for anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone.
And these are not bespoke military kind of things. This is a general statement of, like, if you want to be successful, put the work in. If you want to do anything, start it early, and then focus in on the right things to make something happen properly.
Fantastic. Well, look, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming on. I know we spoke about it earlier. You've got Gen Dit coming up. I imagine already in the back of your mind, thinking when's the next event. Not that I want to keep any more sleepless nights in there. Yeah. You've got High Rocks Championships coming up. You've got your day job. So look, thank you for joining us. Definitely someone that has really shown what can be done, both from an entrepreneurial perspective, but also the career that you move into doesn't need to define the career that you retire, and with certain, you're proving that of yourself, that you've come in, you've gained the skills, you've actually entered the commercial world, found something, done well at it, gone, I want to do something else. So look, genuinely, like anyone watching, reach out to Chris, reach out to the network, get involved in it, whether you're thinking of starting a business, whether that's attending an event, whether that's questions to ask, anything, come in and join. And thank you very much for joining me, Chris. I look forward to seeing you in person, running around like a headless chicken.
I hope that I will not. I will have everything in place, and I will be asking people to do things for me this time. Excellent.
Well, look, I will see you there on the day, and hopefully, a number of people that are watching this as well coming on board. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it. See you in a few weeks.